I want you to imagine this for a second. You've got $50 in your bank account and you have $10,000 in bills due in the next week. You don't have a job, you don't have a safety net, and you have no backup plan. And the clearest message you receive on what to do next is to post your spiritual gifts on TikTok. What would you do? Welcome to the WTF Podcast, friends. My name is Molly Smith, and I'm on a mission to equip 1 million people with the tools to recognize when they're in the funk, but more importantly, how to pivot out of it. By tuning in today, you've joined me on this mission, and I'm so glad you are here. Friends, today's guest is someone who had the courage to burn a life that looked perfect on paper down without knowing and having clarity about what would come next. Kristen Shea is the oracle of visibility and the founder of a movement helping mission-driven leaders overcome the fear of being seen. She's a former publicist who now helps entrepreneurs and creators clear the internal and energetic barriers that are keeping them hidden so that they can step into their authentic leadership and share their message with confidence. But the version of Kristen doing that work today was born out of a season of the funk where her life began to unravel. So if you've been in a space where life is nudging or maybe shoving you to make a change, you're going to want to turn up the volume on this one, because sometimes those moments are exactly what lead you back to who you were meant to be. Please join me in welcoming Kristen Shea to the WTF Podcast. Hey, Kristen.
Hi, Molly. Thank you so much for having me. Wow, what an intro.
Oh, well, I'm so excited you're here. I'm so excited you're here.
Oh, me too.
Okay.
Such a fun conversation.
Yes. Okay. So your life. So I've known you
Yeah.
since you've been doing the visibility thing, and just
Mhm.
for transparency, I've been working with Kristen for about 6 months and she's absolutely amazing. But her backstory is like, you won't believe it. So I want you to take us back to the
Yeah.
season of your life when you were living in Beverly Hills and working in PR.
Yeah.
If someone had looked at your life
Mhm.
from the outside, what would they have seen?
Oh my gosh, that's such a good question. And it's funny because we're actually exactly 2 years from me burning my life down from that version. So the timing is perfect. But yeah, if somebody was looking from the outside in, they would probably think like, oh my God, she's living like this dream life. She's got it all together. She's got it figured out. Like it would have looked, I don't want to say like picture perfect, but it would have had
Yeah.
that look from the outside in.
Take
Yeah.
us inside that experience. Like, what did a normal day actually feel like for you?
Yeah. You know, it's funny. I was reflecting on this the other day because I used to wake up in the morning and just feel exhausted.
Yeah.
And I would just be like, I cannot wait to just come back. I'm so tired. Like, I just want to
Yeah.
come back to bed, right? Just like
Yeah.
thinking of how could I go to sleep?
Yeah.
Where now I wake up and I'm like, I'm up. The second my eyes open, I'm like, I can't wait to start my day because I love my life so much.
Yes.
So I just didn't even realize that that's not how you're supposed to function in life.
Yeah.
You know, like you're not supposed to wake up with just that feeling of constant exhaustion. That's when you're draining the life out of your soul. But yeah, you know, I would wake up, I would do my morning routines, and I always loved communication. Like I actually wanted to be a journalist or a writer when I was much younger, and so
Okay.
communication was very natural for me. And actually, if you look through my astrology, it's all communication.
All there. Mhm.
Yeah, 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 it was always very obvious, even though I couldn't see it in the moment, and so there was parts about that that I loved, but being a publicist was a real grind. You are selling journalists, you are selling your clients, you are just it's like constant sales. You have to be in the news cycle, responding to stuff super quick, and then the other side of that is, like, most people who are working in publicity, especially at that time, it's all curated. So there's no authenticity. It's a lot
Oh,
of
yeah.
perceptions, like, how do I want people to see me? What do I need to be in order for someone to buy from my business or my company or and so I would start to, like, get really excited about a campaign, and then I would put my hands into it, and I'd be like, "Oh, I'm so limited here because you don't wanna be who you are. You just
Mhm.
want one very specific thing out in front of the world," and so I started to just see through a lot, and I
Yeah.
just felt every single day exhausted, limited, and it really just started to feel like, "Whose life am I living?
Yeah.
And why am I not happy with it, though, at the same time?" Because most people would look at what I have and be like, "Oh my god, that's an amazing life. You're so lucky." And these are
Yeah.
actually things I had prayed for prior to that,
Oh my gosh. Okay.
so unfulfilled.
Yes. Okay. You've used the phrase raging against your soul. Can you describe a moment when you remember feeling that the most clearly?
Yeah, that's actually a really good question. There was this time where I was getting ready to essentially get on the first meeting of my day. And I'm looking at my calendar and I'm just kind of eyeing, like, okay, I've got, 3 to 4 client calls. I've got da 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 going through the list. And I remember just sitting there and it was like my skin was crawling. Everything in me didn't want to be on any of these calls. Like, it didn't even just not excite me. It just felt like it almost, I don't know, like this sounds dramatic. It almost felt like death to me. Like, that's
Mhm.
how I was just like, oh my, I cannot sit on another one of these calls today. I cannot sit through this. Like, what am I doing? And it
Yeah.
was so uncomfortable in my body and all of that going against like what my soul actually wanted to do. Chronic illness. I had thyroid issues that the doctors could not figure out. Magically went away when I started sharing my voice on social media, like just
Course.
cleared up like that. But so there was so many ways it showed up, but that was a moment where I just looked at it and I was like, but this is my everyday. I can't feel this way every day. I cannot look at my calendar and feel this way every single day.
Right. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. Okay. Well, at what
Yeah.
point did you realize that something about your life wasn't aligned? Like you knew, like you could feel it, but what was there like a specific moment or thought where you're like, I'm done.
Mhm.
I've got to do something different?
Yeah. A very specific moment because at the same time of all of this, I was in a very narcissistic situation, a dynamic that I was in. And there was this moment where yet again I had to silence myself to not have that, threat on the other end. And so in that moment, I was just like, I cannot do this anymore. And then when I really sat back, I was like, oh my God, I'm silencing myself everywhere. Like, I'm so small. There's no power. I'm just shrinking. And I was like, if I keep shrinking like this, I'm literally going to disappear. There's going to be nothing left of me.
Right.
And it was that one moment in that conversation, and that conversation had happened many times. This was not a new, you know,
Right.
in this
Yeah.
dynamic.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, in that one moment, I was just like, I'm done. It was just this very outside of me, but deep within me that was just like, I'm done. I have no idea what is next, but I'm done.
I'm out.
And that was it. The decision was made at that point. There was no, even though I wanted to back out after, it was like my soul wouldn't let me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure the conscious mind was completely taking over
Oh,
around
for
the
sure.
survival and all of the things.
Oh,
Right.
yeah. No backup plan, no financial safety net, like, all these things that would tell you logically this is not a good move.
Yeah.
Um, but it was just like my soul was just like, "No, we're doing this."
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Walk us through the moment you finally decided to leave. So you
Yeah.
you left a relationship, but then you also left your job. Did that happen all at the same time?
It did because everything was actually intertwined. And so I left a narcissistic situation that meant, like, leaving a good portion of my entire life behind, and it was the only way I could get a clean break from this situation. And so when I left, it was my career, it was friends, it was family, it was this person, it was kind of like really my identity, everybody and everything, that was important to me or that had, built up my life at this point. And so in that moment, I remember walking away and I remember just like praying to God, like, I have no idea where I'm going. I don't know what this looks like. Like, please help
Right.
me, show me something here. Right. And it's funny because that night I had fallen asleep and my TV turned on at 2 a.m. in the morning and it started blasting this song by Three Little Birds. Every little thing is going to be all right.
Like it randomly turned on it in the middle of the
Yeah.
night?
Yeah, and it was blasting, Molly. It was so loud, like, it actually scared the crap out of me when I woke up, right? Because I was, like,
Yeah.
not expecting this, but I had prayed, like, I had not only made the decision, I had communicated my decision that I was done and I was leaving, and that was big, as you can imagine, and
Absolutely.
I just, prayed and was like, "Please show me the way, show me what the next step is. I have no idea what's happening. I'm terrified I'm gonna lose everything." And I, go to bed. And then in the middle of the night, this song starts blaring. And, when you first wake up, you can't really hear what's going on. You're just like, what is happening?
Yeah.
Then those lyrics come on, the Three Little Birds, everything is going to be okay. And I was just like, oh, like it was just such a divine moment where I was like, okay,
Okay.
I don't know what this looks like, but God's got me. Right.
That is amazing. Tell me,
Yeah.
what were you most afraid of losing when you made that decision?
That's such a good question too, because it really came down to a couple of things. Like, one, I was terrified of not being able to provide for myself. Like, how am
Yeah.
I going to make money? How I had like 2 weeks of run lifetime. Like, this was not like I had time to find a job. And, if you're looking for a job, it's a grueling task to find a job. Then your paycheck is gonna take a while once you get going. Like, there was so much here where I was like, "There's no way I'm gonna be able to pay bills in 2 weeks. Like, how is that gonna happen?" And so that was my biggest fear was like, "Oh my god, I'm gonna lose my home. I'm gonna lose my car. I'm gonna be living in my car." Like, those types of things. But underneath that was reputation because people were gonna witness me crumble, right?
Yes.
They were gonna witness that, everything I had built wasn't really as real as I had maybe said it was, right? Like, I acted like I was happy, but I wasn't. Clearly, there were
Right.
things going on behind closed doors. And then they were gonna watch me struggle. And that was, like, when I look underneath everything, it was the reputation was the scariest piece of that, of, like,
Yeah.
losing what I think I wanted people to think about me.
Yeah. The story you told yourself and the story you were living.
Yeah, totally.
Okay. So the critics, did you have people asking, "What are you doing?"
Oh,
Did you
yeah.
have people who were close to you really kind of coming at you?
Yeah, I from every direction. And some of it came from a more loving angle, and it was a lot of questions of like, "Well, what are you gonna do? How are you gonna make money? How are you gonna have health insurance? What are you like?" Just, very logical things, but I was just like, "I don't know. Please don't ask me these questions." And then I had other people who were like, "You're being reckless. You're destroying your life. Like, this is not healthy. Something is wrong." Like, so it was all different directions where people there was very little understanding. Even the friends I did have who, like, understood the situation were still kind of like, "Good for you," but also like, "What are you doing?" You know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, from every direction it was coming.
Are there people in your life today that were in your life 2 years ago and walked through this with you?
For them yeah, there's 2 people, actually, just 2, and one is a friend and one is my mom, and they are the 2 that have seen me throughout the process, and we've actually had to get to know each other again because I totally changed, right? Like, every
Yeah.
mask I had ever worn came off, everything I was afraid to show the world or even my family, right? Everything came off, and so I think both of them have had to get to know me, and I've had to get to know them from a different perspective, but in a much
Right.
better way too.
Oh, I'm sure, just much more grounded in a healthy way.
Mm.
Okay, so let's go back to what I opened with, right? Because the
Yeah,
clearest message you received was post your spiritual gifts on TikTok. So tell
yeah.
us a little bit about what those spiritual gifts are, when they
Yeah.
emerged, and what in the blazes you did when you got that message.
Yes. Okay, so I'm a psychic and a channel. I can access the Akashic records, I can channel the spirit guides, I can channel ascended masters, I can tap into a person's subconscious, and then I have energy healing through my hands and just my frequency. As we all do, by the way, everybody has all of these gifts, just whether or not you've tapped into them. But those gifts I've had my whole life, I just didn't fully understand them.
Okay.
So, I definitely had bouts where I would shut them down, but I also just didn't understand, and it actually, people didn't understand me because of my gifts because I didn't know I was accessing, like, psychic information. So, I'd be sharing things or just, like, talking in a conversation, and they would be like it would be very repelling to them because how did I know that? And I was like, "Well, I don't know. I just don't
Know
know how
it.
I did that. Like, I guess I thought we were talking about this," you know? Like, so many things that came in that way because I think I just had this understanding from the movies of, like, when you're psychic or you're gonna hear it or you're gonna see it, it's gonna be like in the room, someone's talking to you when it's really an internal process, right? Comes in and it sounds like your own brain sometimes talking to you. So I always had them. They were not always welcomed, and I didn't always understand that I was using them. But they started to develop more and more and more, and it started to become undeniable. I would meet someone and I would see like a whole flash of their life. And then I wouldn't say anything, but through getting to know them, I would get all these confirmations of what I saw was accurate.
Mhm.
People would come to me with problems and I'd be like, "Oh, you just need to do here's where you're at. You wanna go here, you need to do X, Y, and Z." And it would all play out the way I had said it would. And so I got these undeniable confirmations. And I kept getting these nudges for a while, like share your spiritual gifts, share your healing, all of these things. And I kept just ignoring it because it didn't make sense to me. I had all these limiting things. Like, first of all, I don't want to. Second of all, how do I make money doing this? Right. Because I was very programmed that like corporate is the only way, it's safe, it's how I get like, I didn't think it would be possible. Right. Yeah. I didn't think it'd be possible. And so, like, just all these things that made it so limiting for me to even look at it. And then I was also burnt out and exhausted. So I would be like, yeah, I'll figure that out someday when I like catch up on my sleep for once, right?
Exactly.
It's hard. It's
Yeah.
that corporate thing. I mean, they really do suck the life out of you. But Um, then it came to that message, and in the moment, and I think I could look at this, with 2020 hindsight all day long, but in the moment, I felt so let down by God. Like,
Mm.
what do you mean that's gonna solve things? Like, I need at least 10 grand ASAP to pay these bills. Like, me posting my channeled messages is not gonna generate money right now. I don't have a following. I've never posted. There's that, like, that just logically doesn't make sense, right?
Yeah.
So in my mind, I'm like, no, I want to, I had been a publicist. So I was like, I need to be sending out leads, just doing something to just keep myself afloat until I figure things out. And the only message I was getting was share your channeled messages, share your spiritual gifts on TikTok. And it was TikTok specifically. And I was just like, oh my God. And then it was like the embarrassment of like, okay, I'm going to go from a corporate executive to a TikTok psychic. Like, how humiliating, right? All
Yeah.
my
The
coworkers,
identity. Yes.
like, people are going to see me. They already think I'm off the deep end for walking away from this life. Like, now I'm a TikTok psychic. Like, I'm really, I'm really nailing the compliment here.
Right.
And it was also like, once you do that, you can't go back. Right. So there was that part of like, it was really shedding something where it felt like there was no going back after that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so when I got that message, it didn't make sense. And I remember just feeling really let down, really angry. And I sat with it, and there was nothing else for me to do that day. There was literally nothing else for me to do. So finally I surrendered and I said, fine, you want me to make a message? I will make a message. And so it was a really simple message that came through. It took me 5.5+ hours to make a video that was less than 2 minutes. Like, I had such a hard time making the video. I was
Yeah.
freezing. I would, get halfway through and be like, oh my God, I sound crazy. This doesn't make sense. Like, it was just such a painful process.
Yeah.
But I hit post on this, and like immediately opportunities started coming to me. And I mean immediately, and not through TikTok, right? So I post this TikTok video, but it's like, because I was in alignment with what I was meant to be doing, the divine support just started showing up. So people were like, I would get these random messages like, oh, hey, I heard that you're doing some freelance publicity work. Are you available for XYZ? Or people I had been reaching out to, trying to get through to, where it was like crickets, all of a sudden were getting back to me. And so, like, literally within a couple of days, I had money to pay all of my expenses. And that didn't make logical sense either.
Absolutely not. Like that's only the divine
Yeah,
universe, whatever that is for you. Like,
1,000%.
so I want to just anchor this real quick, just
Mhm.
for the audience here, because you've had the message, you have been encouraged to share your spiritual gifts publicly, and
Yeah.
you said, when I get time, when I can catch up on sleep, all of those things. And now you're in a moment where it's the only thing that you can do. And you do that. And then the divine, like, provision comes flooding in.
Yes, miraculously. Like, there's no way to explain that other than,
Yeah.
right, that divine. And in that, it's moments like that. It's like the song in the middle of the night, that provision that just shows up when it makes no sense whatsoever. You're like, oh my, like, it restores your faith and your connection when you can feel like, I mean, I was in the fetal position crying and praying. Like, this was a really broken moment for me, and feeling
Sure.
really abandoned by the divine in those moments. And in those moments, it's just such a restoration. And you're just like, okay, if I stay in alignment and I do the thing I'm meant to be doing, the thing my soul came here to do and express, the you're provided for. The divine's got you always. It doesn't mean it's easy, but the divine has always got you.
Yeah. Like, I needed to hear this message today. Like,
Yeah.
today, when we're recording this, I'm like, I needed to hear this. So thank you. I
Yeah,
love it.
of course.
Those first $10,000 in bills that
Mhm,
you had to pay within the next 10 days, those were covered.
mhm.
Beautiful. What about the next month and the next month? So
Yeah.
how did this grow, and how did you still, like, see this or experience this divine provision coming in?
Yeah, it's been the whole first year was a journey of understanding and discovering this, which is kind of what I've anchored into my program now, of like how you get paid to exist, get paid for who you are. You know, the money flowed in, and then I kept getting these divine messages again to offer personal readings. And I was like, absolutely not. I've never done that before. I don't even know if my gifts are real. Like, I had, all this self-doubt sets
Sure.
in. Absolutely not. So 3 weeks later, it's now end of April, and everything has dried up again. Now I've sent out the invoices to my freelance clients. Nobody is getting back to me, which is really out of the normal. So they're not paying their invoice. They're not getting back to me. Like, everything is silent. The leads have dried up. And again, I'm just trying to do a little bit of PR just to, like, stay afloat while I figure out a bigger plan. So I still feel
Yes.
really lost. I'm just getting by, but everything dries up again. And so now I know the drill and I'm like, okay, well, I have rent due in 7 days. I'm not going to wait till the very last second. I will just offer personal readings. And in this, I'm like, this is also so embarrassing. It's like a $44 reading. So executive, $44 TikTok psychic. Like, again, the identity piece was like just shattering more and more. And then I was so confident nobody was going to book with me because I had less than 100 followers and half of them were probably bots. Like, it wasn't like I had been doing this a long time. This is 3 weeks, right?
Yeah.
And so I just threw up a like Cash App link and a Calendly link with no intention that anyone would book. And so I put it out there and I'm just like, all right, God, I did what you said. Like, let's let money flow again, whatever. And so it does. And overnight I had like 70 people book with me. Like, again, does not make sense.
And you
It
had
does.
100 followers on TikTok and you had
Yeah.
70 bookings.
Yes. And like, just wild. Like, this is what this first year of this journey was like, as long as I was in alignment with what I was supposed to be doing and I was like facing those fears and doing those things, like I was provided for. When I wouldn't do that, everything would dry up. And this is how I started to learn like the frequency of money and what authenticity does and visibility and purpose. But so these people book, I didn't think anyone was going to book. So it was a nightmare because I didn't put boundaries on my calendar. So it was like from like 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. I would be doing readings. And then
Oh
I
my
had to
gosh.
like hand match who had sent me a Cash App or who had sent, like, it was like such a mess. Cause again, I didn't think anyone was going to book. I was just like, fine, I'll take this action and, you know, whatever. And so 2 weeks later, I was told to open up a coaching program. And I was like, again, absolutely not. I don't know what I'm doing. I was like, really in self-doubt because I was like, I still feel like I'm at rock bottom. How am I coaching or leading anybody? And the message I kept getting is like, you will only be coaching the people who need what you have. You're not going to be attracting people who are ahead of you or who are, need something else. Like, why would the divine send you people who need something different than what you have to offer, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, I didn't have any certifications. I haven't taken any classes, like for anything, for spirituality, for coaching, any of that. So I'm like, how do I know how to do this? But I know the drill at this point where I'm like, I don't need to wait until the money dries up. I'll do this. And so I launched my first coaching program. And, the advice I give to people is like, just do the thing you're supposed to do and don't worry about it being pretty. Part of my success has been really just allowing myself to be messy. I didn't have a link in my bio. I didn't have a website. I didn't have anything. I just sent out like a sloppy email. Here's what I'm doing. And I had like 20 people sign up. And I was like, whoa, that's crazy. Like, again, nothing, like none of this makes sense, right? Like, this is just, it's that magic, miraculous feeling that I'm experiencing. And so now I've got like a little bit of this coaching thing going on. And then I've got some freelance PR clients. And then the next message was drop the PR. That's not what you're meant to be doing. So drop those clients. And I was like, but this feels like the only stability I have right now. And so by the end of May, I had released all PR clients that I had and I went all in on the coaching. And so in the beginning, it was a lot of transformation coaching, like going through major milestones, walking
Mhm.
people through what I had been through at that point, right?
Sure.
And then as it evolved, I kept getting guided more and more where it was like, you are meant to be doing visibility, but you're meant to be doing it in a much different way. And so it was like combining everything from my years as a publicist, my skills as a communication ninja, messaging ninja, and then like also my spiritual gifts. And so it was like combine all of that. And I was like, how do I do that? Do people even want that? Like, if they want publicity, are they going to want like the spiritual side and vice versa? And right. And they do. You're
Yes, they
that.
do.
Yeah. So that's how this all unfolded. And the entire journey has been when I am in alignment and I am moving forward, money flows in ways that it does not make sense. When I am out of alignment, when I am letting fear lead the way, when I am staying hidden and doing all the behind the scenes stuff or whatever that I like to get lost in sometimes, if I'm letting fear lead me, that is when the money will dry up. So I have learned like stay in alignment, keep moving forward, and just keep walking the path and trust whatever the messages are that you're getting. It will all unfold exactly how it's supposed to. And like that's how you tap into that energy and that frequency of like the miracles. And it opens the channel so like the divine can do things that they wouldn't be able to do, God, source, spirit wouldn't be able to do if you're like really closed off,
Yes. Okay, when you talk about being in alignment, for
Mhm.
you, what does that look like? Are there a set of practices that you do to ensure that your channel and your connection to the divine is open?
Yeah, one of them, food has been really important. Like what I'm putting into my body, if I'm putting low vibrational foods in, like heavy foods, the stuff that's delicious, the pizza, the chips, the sugar, the like whatever, I notice a huge difference in my vibration, in my alignment. And I will notice if I'm doing that consistently, the money would dry up or the ideas would dry up or just I felt like less in touch. So
Wow.
surprisingly, diet's been a huge part of this, of like staying clean, not that I don't indulge, it's not like you can't
Sure.
indulge, like having, a very focused physical vessel and then making sure I have time to channel. So meditation, breath work, sometimes it's hiking or going for a walk, like whatever way I feel like I want to get in touch that day. But the most important part has been action. So it's been a lot less about like the day to day. It has been action and moving forward and like big moves, big, bold, and they will feel big and bold even if they're smaller moves just because there's fear there. But it's like
Absolutely.
moving forward, getting visible, posting, sharing, opening up channels for people to experience my work, putting myself out there. Like all of that has been really, really important.
That's so fascinating because I go through seasons of posting regularly on social media, and I really actually enjoy that, and I enjoy connecting with people in the comments and in the DMs and all of that. But there are times where I'm like, I don't think I've got anything to say, and so I step back, and then I end up in the funk.
Yeah, totally.
So I
Yeah.
know that I'm supposed to be more visible. And I
Yes.
actually feel good when I am more visible, when I get over
Right.
that hump of the fear or the, "Gosh, what am I gonna say today?"
Right.
piece, and actually just go and do
Yeah.
it. It just it lands better, like, the message lands, and
Totally.
I feel better, you
Yes, it
know?
makes all the difference, and it's so but you're so right, when you're in the funk, you don't necessarily see it or you don't necessarily feel it until and then you wait so long, it becomes a mountain to overcome it. And that's very true with visibility because visibility can already be very uncomfortable. But depending like, one of the things I teach is the visibility codex, which shows people how you're meant to show up, right? Because some people are meant to show up in the middle of their process and share real time what they're going through. Others are meant to share after the process. And so sometimes you might need to take a week to go through your process and then come back and share. But if you know that you can at least have a guardrail on that says like, girl, don't go 7 days without posting because then we're getting into the funk, right? Or you can have
Exactly.
some things in place, which is important. But I know that feeling and I've done that plenty of times where I'm like, I'm gonna take a week off and then all of a sudden it's like 2 weeks or 3 weeks and I'm like, oh, now it's like this mountain I have to try to get over.
Yes. Okay, I love that. I'm sure people listening can absolutely relate to this. So, okay, if you could look back, what is the real gift inside that season of the funk for you?
Oof, there's so many, but I have to say the real gift is a deeper connection with God, with the divine in a way I could have never imagined. Like I already prayed, I already had that connection, but this line of connection is just so much deeper and it's above anything else. Like, yes, have I expanded in abundance and impact? I have way more freedom and I'm creating a life that I love. I found myself. And that is like the ultimate gift is like, I know exactly who I am and why I'm here. And I know my power and my unlimited potential. And I know how backed I am by the divine that it's like everything is available to all of us. This isn't just me, this is all of us.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. Okay, for people who are listening right now who might be in a life that looks good on the outside and
Mhm.
they're doing a lot of work to kind of maintain the perception of that life that looks good that feels wrong on the inside, what would you encourage them to do as a first step?
Yeah. I think the first thing you have to do is don't be afraid to start over. You have to get out of that mindset because often we think like, and I know I thought this, oh my God, it's going to take me 5 to 10 years to get a business off the ground or to rebuild XYZ or to do whatever. When you do what you are meant to be doing, it collapses timelines and things are instantaneous. So allow yourself to move past the like time thing. It's too late for me, those types of things. And then the
Right.
second thing I would do though, before I took any action, is get to know who you are when you're not existing for everybody, when you're not the parent, you're not the sister, you're not the spouse, you're not the whatever, like you're not any of those roles. Who are you? What do you
Yeah.
even like? And how much time are you spending doing that? Because once you enter that lane, like clarity just drops in a different way.
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
love that. Okay, you guys, I am going to promote the Ascension Lab. I'm a part of Kristen's Ascension Lab. It's her membership. And we meet every week and you've access to all the courses and the visibility codex and so many amazing like activations and meditations and stuff like that. I will tell you, I've been in it for 6 months and I'm like, I'm gonna give this 3 months. And I'm like, there's no going back because it is
Yeah.
absolutely amazing. So if this message is resonating with you, if you've got that spiritual side of you that's kind of nudging you along to make a change in your life, the Ascension Lab is a place where there's safety in being visible and you can be authentic and get guidance and support and community. It's a beautiful place. I will put a link to the Ascension Lab in the show notes because it is 100% worth checking out. Kristen, thank
Yeah.
you so much for being here. Oh my goodness, what an amazing story. Well, hey friends, if this episode impacted you or you learned something, please consider sharing it. And if there's a friend who's in the funk, they're going to be encouraged by Kristen's story. So please share it. And please subscribe, rate, review, all of the places, guys. I've got a big freaking mission, and it helps when people listen and share this podcast and the work that we're doing here. So, with that, we'll see you next time.